Happy Tuesday, ladies and gentlemen. It's Tailgate Tuesday with the Idle Zone Syndicate. Master Class Edition tonight.
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. Why is that, Mr. Kister?
Man, it's a special occasion. There's a whole list of things I could rattle off about this fine gentleman. Bass Fishing Hall of Famer, multiple classics winner, won the U.S. Open twice. He's won the Redman All-American. I know he's been a professional bass fisherman for over 50 years. He's fished over 500 tournaments with BASS. He's from Ava, Missouri, which is awesome. Table Rock Lake. The one and only Rick Clunn joins us for a conversation this evening.
Thank you. Thank you. Actually, I like to claim two states. I lived in Texas 50 years of my career, and almost 50 counting when I started at the Bass Club. But yes, Missouri has been my home for the last 25 plus years. And I just got tired of 9 months of summer in the Houston area in Texas. So Missouri was a nice change.
By the looks of the social media pictures and videos that you posted, it looks pretty nice. So
yeah, it's pretty, I dreamed as a kid about this kind of place. And I used to even draw it in the sand at my grandmother's when I spent summers with her in Oklahoma, down around Hartshorn, Haleyville. But we were way out in the mountains there, just like I am here. Even though, I think we're fudging a little bit to call the Ozarks mountains, but there are beautiful hills.
Hills is correct.
Yeah.
Is it as warm there as it is here?
Yes, I imagine we're definitely in the 90s, so we're not in the high 90s here in the valley. We're not near a city where you got that that thing they call bonnet or they got a new meteorological term for the heat around cities, but no, we're out in the woods, and we're up on the hill. If we get a wind, it's not bad. I like the summer, always have.
Yeah, it is warm though. Rick, we were off camera before we came on, and he asked me what I was doing sitting out in the heat.
I saw you out there in that neat little boat barn, not a boat barn, but you can leave your boat under. I guess your customers can. Is that true? Or which is a neat good thing. Even in all kinds of weather, you can work on your tackle and not get held on probably.
Yep, it's super nice. We've had some good rainstorms where it was very useful, and the guys could just hang out here.
Yeah, definitely.
Anytime. We got a TV up here, and they can watch the game. They can watch the Thunder win the NBA championship, like it just happened the other night for all you basketball fans. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, that was my favorite sport in high school, so I naturally gravitated toward Oklahoma City due to that's my father was from Oklahoma, southeast Oklahoma.
Did you play any sports when you were young?
Yeah, I played basketball was my favorite. I was a three-point shooter long before there was a three-point shot. But it was the one I, enjoyed the most. I was quarterback in high school and still have the longest touchdown pass in the history of LaPorte, Texas. I always check to see if anybody's beat it when I talk to anybody there, because it was actually I threw an interception in our championship game, and the guy ran it back 95 yards for a touchdown. And it's still the longest touchdown pass, unfortunately, to the wrong team. So, I enjoy sports. I enjoy all kinds. I enjoy watching even like the golf championship. The thing I like about sports is you see how people respond to pressure. And some people, the more pressure that's put on them, the better they're going to get. And some people really can't handle it. And you see it in bass tournaments every day where people get a lead, but they can't finish. And you've got guys that are really good at finishing the tournaments. And it's not an accident. There's really keys to how that happens.
So that leads right into one of my questions that I was going to ask you. You consider tournament fishing, bass fishing, a sport, right?
Absolutely.
And
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, how is it the same, different from a basketball or a football?
Well, I've been fortunate enough to fish with a lot of people from the other sports, and even though the sport can be physically dramatically different, the mental side is the same. And I fished with Randy White, who used to play for the Dallas Cowboys for many, many years. And I'll never forget one day, he fished with me all day. And at the end of the day, he goes, I have never been so tired in my whole life. I thought I was in good shape. And I said, Randy, you are in good shape for 3.5 hours. But out here, you got to be in good shape for 10 hours. And it's a long day. It can be extreme heat, extreme cold, but that's the kind of shape that angler has to be in. But so it takes different. That's where sports are different. But at the same time, I fished with Randy Moss. I've fished with some Astro pitchers over the years, and again, it's people going to argue that all day long. I mean, it even goes back to the federal government. The federal government has fishing listed as gambling, tournament fishing. And I don't know if that's still true, but it was for the long, long time. And the way they had to figure out how to tax a sport versus gambling was simply a matter of how much luck was involved. And in the early days, they looked at fishing. They said, that's all luck. Okay. And so it was put in how you're going to tax it by the IRS in the gambling section. So, of course, over time, tournaments came along, and slowly we realized that if you depended on luck for success, you were going to starve to death. And so that's when people the first time I really realized it was studying Roland Martin in his early career. He brought the art and science to the sport. And then, he kind of played with and understood pattern fishing. And of course, that's really what I worked on the hardest, was to understanding this concept of that all the fish in a given area in a given time period are doing the same thing. And so if you get on some active fish on a certain type of pattern, then if you can duplicate it, that's where you're going to be successful. So that took what I call other anglers like Kevin Van Dam random cast anglers, because we were dependent upon making 2,000 casts a day and hoping we were throwing at a fish. So we had to improve that hope or luck of throwing at a fish. And that's where pattern fishing came in. All of a sudden, we were still random cast anglers, but we became high probability random cast anglers. In other words, I would get on a pattern. Okay, they're on windy points with a stump. I'm making it simple here, but he's on the shady side of the stump. So now if I can duplicate that, and if the pattern theory works, then you ought to be able to catch more fish. So that's a simple definition of pattern fishing, but that's where all of a sudden we showed that there was luck in the sport, but we showed you had to have more skill than luck, and if you were going to be successful in the long term. So it was kind of an interesting deal how the perception of angling has slowly changed over time. In the beginning days, if you told somebody you were a fisherman, they wanted to know if you had a shrimp boat. So, or if you were a trot liner or something like that, commercial angler. So, I can't tell you how many in my young days I'd be fishing in the middle of the week in a canal in Florida, and some old retired guy would come out and go, "Son, what are you doing out here in the middle of the week?" And I go, well, I'm practicing for my tournament. And then making a long story short, that he didn't understand that. And he finally go, son, why don't you get a real job? And so anyway, so it's just definitely evolved. And now the most rewarding thing, and I understand you have that going on currently, the most rewarding thing for me has been able to see the high school and college kids get involved. I never saw that coming because we didn't have Little League and all that kind of thing to create that. But somehow, some way, it got started and it's really exploded.
What? So what do you love most about this sport, or what drives you the most about this sport?
That changes with time. But I realized how much I loved it when I went completely broke. My second year on the circuit, most of you know the history. I quit the Exxon Oil company in March of 1974, and I went just tournament fishing. And I didn't plan it. I'm not a great businessman. I didn't plan it out well. I didn't have a bunch of money saved up. And it took me about a year and a half to become completely broke. My wife and I both worked at oil companies, so we built a brand new house and lost that because back then, that the only way you were going to make money was to win. And even then, even when I got it, I had enough money to go to the tournament, but I didn't have enough to get back if I didn't get a check. And back then, the check had been $250, but that was, and even I say that now, I'm embarrassed, but that was big. at least I could get back home. But what you love about it, and I lied to myself, I guess, when I quit Exxon. I'd gone to college enough to know that business administration said, give a new business at least 3 years, a chance for 3 years, and then if it doesn't work, have the courage to get out of it and go back to doing something else. And that's what I told myself. But I came home, and I'll never forget this as long as I live. I was living north of kind of east of Conroe at that time. I moved up to Lake Conroe, so I tried to start a guide service to have something to do in between the tournaments. And I came home, and my house had been repossessed, and my wife and my young daughter had been locked out. And so, it really had to do some deep thinking. But the thing that most surprised me, because if you had if you had a list here of things to check, success or failure, you could check every failure there was so many on that list. Okay, you did this, you've done this, you've not done this. The list was completely failure. And yet, I'll never get over the feeling that I like myself more than I'd ever liked myself in my whole life. I didn't know I didn't. So then I knew I wasn't going to go back to Exxon, and which the systems and computing business was booming. It would have been a great career. I even enjoyed it. I just didn't enjoy rush hour traffic. And they finally made me into a programmer, and I didn't like sitting in a little room on my butt all day. So I wasn't going back there. And so what am I going to do? I said, I've got to figure it out. I have got to figure it out. And I really started studying everything on the face of the earth, every mental book I could get a hold of, every psychology, philosophy, quantum physics, everything. And because I knew somewhere, I'd studied Einstein even a little bit before that. And he kept making the statement that all my theories of relativity and laws of physics that I've came to did not come from my rational mind. And I'd had that feeling already in fishing. Fishermen are real prone to be more gut oriented than most other anglers are. So I knew that my gut was telling me things sometimes that didn't make sense in my head. So anyway, I went on that journey, and I slowly started studying the tournaments, and I knew the Classic is the tournament I had to win because it would turn everything around overnight. And it became my really strength. When we got on the airplane back then, and at 30,000 feet, they'd tell you where you were going and that you couldn't make a phone call, get any help. that's when I first started seeing my heroes at that time totally lost, scared. And at first it confused me. But then over time, I started studying them. And I started studying every classic that's ever been won. So far, there's only like 3 or 4. Bobby Murray at Lake Mead, Don Butler at Percy Priest, Ray Breckenridge at Clark Hill. And they were all won on the same pattern, even though there were different lakes all over the country. So that became my strength, because I fished every tournament like it was the classic. Nobody knew Rick Clunn. They didn't want to give you help. And wherever other anglers fished it, totally opposite of the classic. They got all the help they could get, and it was legal back then. All the help they could get, and so every year they had so much knowledge going into the regular tournaments. I didn't have. I had to fish every tournament like it was the classic with no knowledge, and so that's when I figured out I had them. I said, I got them. I got them. They don't know how to fish the classic. They don't fish that way. And then, like I said, I won it in 76, 77, second in 78, third in 79. And then they started announcing the classic, which meant then they could get more help. So always, even though I totally agree they had to get the media there and the crowd, they couldn't keep it a secret up until the last moment. So that's when it all turned around, was then desperation became my best thing. But that was answering your question about, that's what I loved about fishing more than anything else. It's, I don't know if you can see it here. Yeah. Can you see this? Yeah, you can see it. But when I won the Redman All-American in the 80s on Lake Havasu, the second day of the tournament, I was in second place, and I had 3 pretty good fish. And I just knew, how you have this internal clock as an angler. If I catch one more, it's over. And I'm running to where I thought I could catch one more, and just looking at these beautiful mesas out there in the lower part of the Colorado River. And I had an epiphany. It's almost like this voice said, okay, you know how to do it. You know how it works. Because I was by then, I was into every little bit technique you could get into: visualization, manifestation, a lot of, meditation. And I knew how to manifest reality. And that's a stretch. It's kind of like Danny's Sasquatch deal there. And so it's a stretch, but it doesn't mean it's not true. So what that epiphany was, okay, you figured it out, but it's not, it's not about winning another trophy or another check. And that's when I realized why I love what I do, because the only real honor is being true to yourself. And the only real reward is not the check. It's not the notoriety. It's being intensely alive. And Joseph Campbell, I studied him a lot, because most of his stuff was about most people's search for the meaning of life. And finally, he came to the conclusion that that's not really what we're searching for. We're not searching for the meaning of life. We're searching for how to become more alive. And fishing does that. It's one of the greatest tools to do that. You're in nature. You're starting to use your senses at a higher level than you normally would. Sight, sound, those kind of things, taste, smell. Saltwater guys smell fish, and not anything freshwater guys do is a scent. So it totally clicked that was the gift of fishing, and that's why I loved it so much, because I was being true to myself, and secondly, I was becoming more alive than I ever was.
I second that.
I was gonna say, that's exactly how I feel, but I don't talk like I would never explain it that way. I agree. That's it.
And that's the problem with communication with us, is that a lot of us really do see things the same way, but when we explain it, it sounds different.
Yeah.
We're using different terminologies and different words, but if we can get beyond that, we realize eventually, no.
So that brings me to my next kind of topic. There's a lot of negativity in the world, not just fishing, like in the world, right? right now. And I'm like you. I think the most, maybe all people don't want that, right? But how do you deal with that? How does Rick Clunn deal with the negativity in fishing, the negativity and just in life in general that we seem to be going through right now?
Well, and that brings me back to 1979 when Ray Scott asked me that same exact question. In 1979 is the first classic that we had national media. We had local media, a lot of the others, but we didn't have national media. We didn't have Washington papers. We didn't have the New York papers. We didn't have most of them, a few of them, but not all of them. And Ray, and I'd won the Classic in 76, 77. I was second in 78. And this was the 79 Classic that Hank Parker eventually won. And it was a press conference because George Bush was there, and that's why they all came. Those writers, they came to that because George Bush, I think he was thinking about running for president of the United States. And anyway, so Ray, his mischievous way, he goes, Rick, you got on the back of your shirt, the future's ours. And yet there's so much negativity out there. What does that mean? And so I got up on the podium and, like you kind of know, John, never knew what was going to come out of my mouth. But still, he handed me the mic and I said, well, Ray, to be honest with you, I don't do a lot of stuff that I said, I just don't pay any attention to it. And he says, well, how do you not pay attention to it? I said, well, I never watch the news. Okay. And I don't read the newspaper unless it's the cartoons and sports page. And they said, well, how do you know what's going on in the world? I said, I have plenty of neighbors. If something really bad happens, will come tell me what's going on in the world. And that was just, I was living in my own little world. I mean, I admit, I'm not saying it's the way I should have been thinking, but it was my little world. And I knew how important, because all of this studying I've been done, the visualization and all that, how intention is controlled by positive, energy. Nothing on this planet is energy and matter, and the intention is control of what it intends. Pure intention controls what it becomes. And that means positive energy. So I was shutting out all the negative. Did I have negative thoughts? Heck yeah. But I had tricks. For every negative thought, I would try to cover it up with many positives. For example, okay, I'm thinking, oh, golly, that I'm going to run over there and the wind's blowing straight in there. I don't know if I'm going to be able to fish it. Or maybe if there's no wind, you said, man, I'm in the last flight. Everybody's going to be, how many boats are going to beat me in there? And then I said, wait a minute. Okay, the wind's blowing in there, but that'll eliminate a lot of the boats that were probably going in there. I said, and secondly, that was an early bite, and all this cloud cover and wind may make that prolong that early bite, just like it was still low light conditions. So I just try to cover, because we all had negative thoughts. So just do you let them dominate you? And I wasn't going to let that happen. So I told that at that press conference. And after the press conference, all those major newspaper guys got together and cornered me after the news conference. And they basically said, if you ever say something like that again, you'll never get another piece of ink the rest of your life. And I looked at one of them that I kind of knew was Gene Mueller from the Washington paper. I said, Gene, did I say anything that was not true? He goes, well, no. I said, okay. I said, all I'm saying, why can't you balance it out? I know the world has crap going on in it. Okay, I know that. It's not a perfect world. It probably never will be. But can't you at least balance? Well, we don't sell newspapers unless there's too much negativity on it. And anyway, so that was kind of the first time that anybody ever asked me that question. And it's a continuous battle. Everybody goes through periods that things just don't look like they're happening, right? And certainly, but what's going on now is not the first time. Not the first time. There's been many times that this has gone on. And, I mean, I had two brothers in Vietnam. I failed my physical and I didn't go to Vietnam. I'm sitting on a deer stand one morning, the first day of deer season, in the dark, holding my gun. And I realized my mother had told me that my brother was in Vietnam, sitting on the top of the mountain, holding a gun. And it just go, it doesn't seem real. even when we're hearing about all this stuff, it still seems like we're watching a picture show or something. We don't really functionally grasp the negativity of it. And unfortunately, there's only two things that causes all the wars, and we know what they are. And are they going to go away? I doubt it. So I just stay away from it. Like I said, and I'm not saying that's the wisest thing to do.
I mean, that's what I do, Rick. I've said it on this show many times. I haven't watched this news. I have not watched 1 minute of news in 6 or 7 years. Just one day, I was like tired of it, and I'm like, I'm not. And I'm like you. I got two buddies on the screen right there that'll tell me if it's really bad, and I need to watch out for something.
Right.
Even the weather. Like I'm the same way with the weather. My family will tell me if there's a tornado coming because I'm not watching the news.
Now, just a minute. The biggest obstacle to that communication, John, would be you checking your phone. So, just saying.
Out of the three people on this screen, who checks their phone the least?
Maybe.
Who responds to messages and all that the least? No. You're on mute.
Yeah,
you're on mute.
No, I'm not, like you said.
Anyway.
And occasionally, like what just happened, I was in Louisiana when it happened, and one of my clients there said, boy, dude, they're sending 2 big ships to the Middle East. And of course, I knew something was happening. And but I didn't know what. And so I listened to the news for the first time in months and months. Because accidentally, sometimes I'll be sitting in my barber's chair and he's got on the news,
Yeah.
So but here's the strange thing. Nothing's changed.
Right.
If I hadn't watched it 20 years, in 20 years, nothing has changed. It's just different faces, different reasons, but it's all the same. I mean, it's all the same stuff. Who can you believe? And you only trust yourself ultimately, and that means you can really only trust your little bubble that you live in. You only trust when it reacts with one of these other bubbles of life, and there's many, many of them. And then, you got to pay a little attention when your bubble's bumping into one of the others and can be affected by it. But again, I want to emphasize, I don't know if that's the right attitude, but that's just the way you asked me the question, and that's how I deal with it.
How you handle it. Yep. Let's switch gears a little bit. So if you go to your website and your social media pages, you see stuff about this legacy events and legacy tours. Tell us a little bit about that and where you've been and what started it all and where you're going.
Well, my whole career, I've been searching for a way to have more control over my destiny, and dealing with being a tournament angler. Your sponsors is one of the biggest things that control that. But I didn't want them to have. And my wife actually came up with this legacy idea. I guided in my early career for almost 15 years on Lake Conroe, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the guiding because it was people from all walks of life, people running huge corporations down to little 80-year-old ladies that wanted to go fishing, and the thing was, the day we went fishing, they weren't in any of those things. They were just another person in my boat that enjoyed fishing. And that's the way we related to them. And that really hit home hard with me when I flew from Houston on Air Force One with George Bush to fish a private lake. He had called up Ray Scott, and Ray called me up, George, and said he wanted to fish with me. And Ray called me up and said, Rick, George Bush called and he wants to fish with you. And I go, BS. Because Ray, I never trusted anything he was saying. He said, no, Rick, I'm not joking. I said, really? And he said, yeah. I said, okay. I got my boat up, hooked up. Where do you want me to meet him? He says, no, don't get your boat. He said, meet him at Ellington Air Force Base in Houston. You're going to fly with him on Air Force One to my private lake. And anyway, to cut through it was an amazing experience, and there were so many amazing things that happened. But to cut through it, when we finally got in the boat and we started fishing, he hooked a big one, and we called it. And I said, George, I'm sorry, Mr. President. And anyway, he did it again. I said, George, that's a great. I'm sorry, Mr. President. And the third time I did that, when I said George instead of Mr. President, he walks over to me and puts his hand on my shoulder, and he goes, Rick, today, you're not a world championship fisherman, and I'm not president of the United States. We're just two guys who love to fish. And from that point on, it was easy. And that's basically the way I always felt guiding. And so the legacy trips, Melissa brought it, why don't we do these things called, because we're constantly getting people to ask, when can I go fishing again? I mean, my whole career's kind of been that way. And I don't do that. I can't justify being gone for 25 tournaments, 25 weeks a year, and then coming and going fishing with another human being that's not in my family. So she came up with the idea of, with these legacy fishing events. And we just had the first one, in Louisiana. And it was probably one of the best experiences of my life, because it was so completely full of positives. Even though my first 2-day guy was a lawyer that was waiting on a wrongful death verdict in a deal he'd been working on 3 years. And so he was really stressed. And I knew he was, and he said, I shouldn't be here, but I'm turning it over to my second best man. And we're going to get a jury verdict in the next day or two. And so I'm sitting here, and he even said it he said it was the best fishing experience of my life. And he didn't just mean catching fish. We really related to a lot of things. And he finally, after our second day of fishing, he come in and he said, my partner called and we won $34 million. And he said, and my partner was crying. I said, sounds like to me, you ought to get home and hug his neck, But still, the point was, he's just a human being. He's a human being that has trying to make it in life and trying to do all this. He's a lawyer, and he says, I know what people think about lawyers, and I'm not going to go into the case, but it was very justified what he did. And but still, and everybody, I mean, the next guy was a tugboat driver, and his father. The next guy was a guy that installs a lot of security systems in Walmart stores out of Rogersville, Arkansas. Older gentleman about my age, but every one of them on that day was just a guy who loved to fish. And that's what I enjoyed about guiding, and that's what I really enjoyed about this legacy fishing event. And our next one, as you know, John, we're doing in the fall, October, on Grand Lake of the Cherokees. And we're hoping to have it out of the Lake Lodge, which is your lodge, and on October 20th through the 24th. And so I already have, I'm warning you guys, okay, why did I pick Grand Lake? Because Grand Lake, I mean, here's the biggest thing I fear when you're charging people money to fish, that you don't catch them. That's your biggest fear. I learned it in my early guiding days, before at first you make a mistake, man, we killed them yesterday. No, I'll never say that again, because you aren't going to kill them that day. I don't care what happens. So you control their expectation, keep. And Grand Lake is not an easy fishery. We all know that, but I love the fishery because of the quality of fish in it and how freaking smart they are, and what it takes to catch a fish that's been fished for every day of its life. And I like October because that's one of my favorite times to throw buzzbaits and squirrelbills of all sizes. So and it's a lot of the fishing legacy stuff I'm doing. I want to introduce people to techniques that they haven't done. You're welcome if it's the one you love most. But almost all these anglers I fished with in Louisiana, they go, I've never fished this kind of bait. I never fished this kind of bait. And so I would put on that kind of bait and tell them what I know about it. So that's again what we're going to be visiting you, John, in October, and looking forward to it. I just like I said, the weather will be a little cooler. Could be a lot cooler. October is a strange month there as far as weather and temperatures, but. And that's the thing, the weather is the number one thing that we can't control. I mean, we had storms every day in Louisiana, and I try to give people at least a 6 to 8 hour day, but we've never had a day over 5 hours in Louisiana because of weather. And I will not keep you out there in lightning. I've used up all my pass cards on lightning. Okay, I can't pull any of them up. So we'll go out and sit in the truck, try to wait it out, and most of the time you can wait them out. But still, this is another event that we're looking forward to. The first one surpassed all my expectations.
So, what else is special about Grand? I know there's something else pretty special about Grand.
You've been talking to my wife too much, haven't you? This may not be it, but that's where me and her met. Is that what you were thinking?
That's it.
I mean, it could be something else weird, but I'm not thinking of anything weird that I had happened at Grand. No, I met through a mutual friend of ours, Randy Blockett, and I'm sure everybody knows who he is. But anyway, and that's where we originally met. She was from Joplin and good friends with Randy and some friends of hers.
Yep. So if somebody wants to be involved or wants to get one of these legacy trips, what do they have to do?
Again, I started to warn you a minute ago, but 2 of the guys from this past one already are signing up for this one. So we're getting people to respond fairly quickly. But if you need more information, more details, costs, that kind of thing, you can 2 places. You can go to www.rickclunnprofessionalangler.com or rickclunnprofessionalangler@yahoo.com. And that'll give you more information on how to also basically contact us directly if you just have questions that we may not have answered yet.
And we have the rooms blocked already here at the lodge. So once
I highly recommend, to my customers that they stay where I'm staying, because that gives us more time together when we're not fishing. We're going to have meals that we don't know how we're doing the meals exactly yet, but I like to eat dinner with the clients, one night, and it's a lot easier. If we're working on tackle and stuff, you can see that place behind. And also, if you guys want to fish for more than one day, bring your own boat. And even when we're finished, that's a great place. You keep your boat and stay is at the Lake Lodge there. Because, I mean, I've seen other pictures besides just where your boats are. But if you're like me, where the boat sleeps is more important than where I sleep. So my wife had a hard time getting over that one because I stayed in some junk places, but my boat was right there. Okay.
Yeah.
But then I started camping out, and that was a lot better idea.
Yeah. Yep. Well, we're excited. I mean, we're excited about the whole event, and we know it'll be good. And like I said, we'll figure out all the details later, but kind of wanted to make this announcement. Danny.
Yes.
I mean, we kind of got into it already a little bit, off camera about Rick's not totally against like Bigfoot, and he was even talking like shape shifting, like we were talking about a couple shows ago. Like it's possible, right, Rick?
I don't like the way it's presented nowadays because it's presented like they've discovered an elephant and all you're holding on to is the trunk. You're blind and it's a big gray elephant, and you got the trunk and you go, wow, I got him, I got it. You don't. You have part of it. And so I don't like things that are just, people think they have everything and yet you're only holding part of it. And of course, like I said, I don't discount it. It's throughout the history of man. Yes, logic and science says, why haven't we found one yet? But that's only the modern day logic and science. Native Americans believed in multidimensional creatures. They believed in shape-shifting. I've studied, not to say I wasn't going to get into this, but I've studied every religion on the face of the earth. And I still lean toward the Native Americans more than anyone, because the Great Spirit to them was energy that moves through, and here's the key word, all things, not just a select thing here and a select thing there. And most Native Americans had a tremendous belief in some form of, Sasquatch, etc. But at the same time, they believed in, like a lot of people do in the spirit world, that some of it's accessible, some of it's not. I don't want to discount it. I love, it's magical to still believe in those kind of things. I mean, I don't like it when you demonize them. It's just part of life. But I don't. I know. I'm definitely not. I don't have any answers to it. I've never seen one, even though I fished in some places they claim to have them. And Shafla River Basin is a famous place that they claim to have them. Sabine River, even a little bit. I've seen people that claim they've seen them there. The swamps, that area where, yeah. But no, I know, Danny. I mean, I don't study it, so I don't understand all of it.
Well, so what I take from that is that you're open to the possibility.
Well, definitely, because again, so many of the philosophers had their head chopped off in the early days because they said one thing. They said, we allow things to stay too small. We the minute we bump into the elephant's leg, we grab onto it and swear that's all there is of the elephant. And I totally believe that. I mean, you look throughout the history of man and in all sciences and all religions, and it's full of contradictions. And so it's just like forward-facing sonar. I want to see where it's going. I don't want to see it end. I mean, the forward-facing sonar told me and Kevin Dam and others that we'd fished our whole careers fishing for only 20% of the fish in the freaking lake. The other 80% was behind us. And now the young kids, because they were willing to fish for that 80%, they get criticized for it. I've learned more about bass behavior in the last 3 years than I learned my whole rest of my life because of forward-facing sonar. Am I any good at it? Hell no, I'm not. And here's my answer to it is, I don't mind them. They ought to be allowed to explore it. Yes, let's control the extremes, and there's always that. But can I be honest with you? If you ask me if I could become really proficient at it, yeah, I'd do it. But I'd still rather fish for that 20%. I've been chasing my whole life than that 80% that they're chasing. I love catching that 20%. And when we come to Grand Lake in the legacy tournament, that's what we're going to be fishing for. We're going to be fishing for that 20%. Even though I bet even at Grand, even though they're notoriously shallow, that there's people out there catching them on forward-facing sonar.
Oh yeah.
So that's a good thing about fishing too. You can take things that are an extreme subject in another category and put it into fishing, and it's easier to deal with and talk about. And I've always believed in fishing. The only reason I stayed into it as long as I have is because what I described earlier about, being more alive when I'm in the outdoors, but also because no 2 days are the same. It's a puzzle every day, and there's missing pieces that you got to find and to complete the puzzle. And if every day I went out, the puzzle was complete, I would have quit a long time ago.
It takes all the enjoyment out of it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And watching these young kids and how open-minded they are, and how I captained my son and some of his friends in high school. I captained or worked with Cody Huff quite a bit. That's really a good angler in the elite events now. And I love the way their minds work. They're 90% of them are still very positive. That's what I would warn these high school kids that are coming into your place. And I always ask, what would you tell them? And I would say, keep it positive. There's going to be plenty of things that's going to try to throw at you they make it negative, and don't think about it as getting rich fast. I mean, I only got into fishing simply when I quit Exxon. I told my wife, I said, all I want to do is put food on the table and a roof over my house and do something I love to do the rest of my life. And I've done that. And that's all they should be asking for. But so many of them nowadays come into it because they read, Ray Scott used to say, he went at bass tournament, become a millionaire. No. Yeah, if you did a TV show or you won several classics, you might do very well. But no, and so a lot of them, they're getting into it just strictly to make a lot of money. And there's nothing wrong with that, because we all need money and we live in a capitalistic society. And but just don't let that cost you your love and why you eventually started, because you love to feel that little tick on the end of your line. Let's see, you're holding up.
Where did that saying on that coin come from, Rick?
It's one of those things I blurted out, didn't have a clue when I won the Classic in 2016, and not the Classic. I won the St. John's Elite event in 2016, and I won it. And most people, I was in 69 or something. And that's the other thing I said early on in my career, is that this sport doesn't discriminate because of your size, your color, you're male or female. Or even age. That I said, unlike other sports that are going to relegate you to being an armchair quarterback. You hear it all the time now in basketball, 35-40, in football, 35 or 40. It didn't do that, and I proved that in 2016. And I know I'm not at the peak of my career. I know that. But at the same time, that doesn't mean all my greatest moments are in the past. And that just happened to be what came out of my mouth. I'll tell you another one that came out of my mouth was when I won the Classic in 1984. And George Bush was there. He was president of the United States. And Bill Clinton was there. No, he was vice president of the United States. I think Bush was. And I could have this all wrong. And usually one of the people watching will correct it. But going into the final day, the third day, Ray knew I was going to win. Okay. I was just way ahead of everybody else. And he came up to me the night before and goes, Rick, you know that Bush and Clinton are going to be standing on the other side during the March win, right? I could tell he was nervous, and I loved it. I made him nervous. And he said, you want me to write down what you're going to say? I said, no. I ain't going to read something you wrote down. I said, I don't know. He said, what are you going to say? I said, I don't know, Ray. I didn't. I wasn't kidding. I didn't know. And anyway, I won. I was standing there, and I knew how important this was, the gravity of it for the sport of fishing. That also we have presidents and eventual presidents of the United States attending the weigh-in. And it just came out of my mouth again, just like that saying, never accept all the greatest moments in the past. I just started saying, is this a perfect company? And I said, probably not. Will it ever be? Probably not. But where else in the world could I have done what I've done today? Fish for little green fish and make $50,000. Both the president and both of the Clinton and Bush just lit up on them. I could feel their energy. Yeah. So it fit in perfectly. But sometimes I'm equally will come out and say something really, really stupid. So, or not timely. Let me put it that way.
I think we all do that once in a while. I do that quite often, I think.
Yeah, and this is a dangerous vehicle to be making those kinds of statements, and sometimes, because you can't take them back.
That's right.
You can't take them back, can you?
Nope.
So
This is live, and it'll be
absolutely.
It'll be uploaded to our YouTube channel, and it's there, so everybody can see. Everybody can see. I remember one of those times, and we talked a bit about this the last time we saw you, Rick, was when I was in. We were at Falcon, and we had the windstorm, and Tripp was having some trouble with diverticulitis, I think, at the time, and he wasn't. And Chuck was hurt. Chuck had a hurt back, and so I was there, and hadn't run. I'd run tournaments, but I hadn't run elite tournaments, and you get in a little bit of awe of the guys you're trying to lead. I'm trying to be the leader and the director of a bunch of guys that I idolize. And I remember walking into the trailer that morning and made the mistake of saying to Mr. Clunn that I know what he's thinking. And I was absolutely wrong, and got told I was absolutely wrong. But I learned a lesson. But I learned a lesson from that, is that to basically do my job, which is to protect you guys, to protect the anglers from the weather. And I really can't. I need to worry about what the guys are thinking, but I really can't let that affect my decision, I guess is what I learned.
Yeah, and you're right. Everybody would have thought the same thing with you. Everybody knew my stance on canceling days, because I'd made it very, very clear I was totally against canceling days. But here was the difference, is that most days that were canceled with a weather forecast. That weather was there.
Yeah.
I mean, it was there. It was no forecast. We had a dust storm blowing everything away, and that weather was there. And if it just been us anglers in the boat, I just had the same stance. Let us go. But it wasn't just us; it was the cameraman, and one of them was going to get hurt.
Yeah.
And I handled those cameras and everything else, and I knew the camera guys, and I just that would have been a wrong thing to do, is go out and that, with it being right there on top of us. It wasn't like it's coming, or it may get here, it may not.
Yeah, that was in 2013, I think, and they're still taking sand out of the trailers from that.
Yeah,
that's how bad it was blowing.
No, it was bad, and that's a bad lake.
Yeah,
when it comes to weather.
Kyle, I know you probably got a question or two. I can see you squirming over there before he leaves.
I've got some wrote down, but honestly, Rick, I just want to thank you for what you've done for the sport. I appreciate you coming on here and having a conversation with us. I really appreciate you having Lucky Craft crankbaits design the 2.5 and the 1.5. I really love throwing a moving bait, and those are outstanding. And Grand Lake in October is going to be awesome for you with the buzz bait and the square bills. And I mean, truthfully, if you're fishing deeper than about 2 foot, you're fishing too deep, in my opinion, in that month. And just, putting out quality advice, good, clean, quality advice. And, I'm glad you've been a trailblazer for as long as you have. I mean, and hopefully, I know some other pro fishermen have tried to follow in your footsteps, but I mean, just thank you for what you've done.
Well, I appreciate that. And no, the 1.5, 2.2 Lucky Craft baits were, I didn't think they could do it because I was always a wood bait guy in the square bills. Problem with wood baits, they're not durable, and it's hard to duplicate them, even with the best carvers in the world, to get 2 or 3 alike that run like. And when Lucky Craft did those, it surpassed anything I'd ever seen. And still to this day, there's a lot of square bills now. None of them are close to that one. And I'm fine tuning why I say that, because I know the difference, and there's differences. Now they still catch fish, and that's all people really need to know. But
Yeah.
if you want all the absolute perfectness of a square bill, nobody still makes one like Lucky Craft. And they, of course, everybody else copied it. They copied it down to the 2.5, 1.5, the way what we call them, to the colors and everything else. But that's the nature of our sport. We're copycats. You know, the lunker lure, until I won in 77 with the lunker lure, nobody even knew what a buzzbait was in most of the South. And then Lunker Lure was the only company making that kind of buzzbait. And that's the sad part of it, is that I wish they could have benefited without all the copycats coming in. But that's just the nature of it, and you know that's what's going to happen. You know, when you get a good idea. The only company that's really successfully protected herself was Chatterbait. And they've only now it looks like they've lost the time frame to continue to do that. But they would take you to court, and that's, most companies, it's not worth taking it. They don't have the money, lure companies, to take people to court, especially if they're bigger than you. So I still miss those days working with Lucky Craft. I've never seen a company create a bait as quick as they did and as perfect as they did.
The only other question I have for you, so I'm pretty sure you enjoy some pastimes like arrowhead hunting, things like that. Have you ever experienced or ever found any petroglyphs?
I haven't personally found them. I've visited a lot of them out west, but I've never personally found any. I think Johnny Morris took all the ones that were on my property before I got there. Him and a friend of his in Ava, Missouri, that friend's father was a petroglyph fossil artifact person, and he took Johnny and his son under every amphitheater, every cave in that valley and in the Ozarks in that area. We found a ton of arrowheads. Every time you turn up the dirt, they pop out of the ground. And that's neat, because I'd never found one until I moved on that property. And it's not like where we live. That was not an original idea. Man, this is a great place to live. A lot of people thought that was a great place to live over time.
Sure. I actually, when I was younger in high school, we did some arrowhead hunting. Me and my dad, we just enjoyed it, and we encountered a rock outcropping that had a bunch of them on it, and it was arrowhead. I mean, I don't know how many arrowheads we found over the years in that little spot, but it was incredible.
Yeah.
And it's close to southeast Kansas. So
well, and we always, the winner of the war writes the history, and the Native people didn't win the war, so they were totally underwritten how many of them were here. There were so many more here that we want to report, and they were more advanced than we wanted to report. But no, it's amazing where you can find how vast that the arrowheads is. I know people that, and how many of them have been covered up by us. But at the same time, no, it's fascinating. The one thing about, have you ever watched the movie Naked and Afraid?
yeah.
Mhm.
They're lousy fishermen. Have you ever noticed? And that's the one way to get food, better than any other way to get food. And yet some of the things they come up with, and never use a pole. Majority of them just stick a string in their hand and fling it out there. And I know in Mexico, they wrap them around beer cans and fling the lures out there. So it works. But if I was on that, Stephen Browning did a version of that, and he won it. They weren't naked, but he went. It was an outdoors group with military.
Thank God. Thank God.
Yeah, right. Military people in it, and Stephen ended up winning it because he could catch fish, and nobody wanted to kick him off the team because he was the only one that was providing food. And then it boiled down to him and a top military guy, and Stephen won it because he could read a topographic map better than the military guy could.
Well,
So it's cool. But anyway, no, I just get all so upset when they're. And they're what they're trying to make a hook out of and that kind of stuff. So
you wouldn't be naked and afraid. You'd be naked and ready to roll.
no, the bugs would eliminate me pretty quick. They would eliminate. You see some of these people just eating alive. No. And shoes. My feet have gotten a little too weak to be tropping across rock and stuff. With no shoes on.
That'd
Anyway,
be,
have we got off?
I'd be out on the no shoes walking across rocks and stuff. Anyway,
Sounds like your other guys showed up behind you there.
Yeah, we're about ready to. We're about to the end of our time with you.
Okay,
But
good.
we've got skewed in here, guys. Yeah. There's a whole bunch of guys.
Come on in.
That would probably like to hear some word. They start tomorrow, so maybe some words of wisdom or some advice to these guys. What you got?
Kind of already told you that earlier. I didn't tell it to them, but one of the biggest things, every one of you, one of the greatest things in my career is that y'all showed up. Okay. And Gary Klein and I used to always in the 80s have a discussion, who are the best anglers? And of course, name off different guys, but then when we finally hit it, well, all of us are specialists. We're not versatile. Diddy Breyer and Tommy Biffle won a tournament. Do you know how they did it? David Fritz, Paul Lies, me won a tournament. You know how they did it? We're specialists. And we finally started, Gary more than me, trying to look at these we wanted to learn all the techniques that were winning tournaments, flipping, deep cranking, drop shotting, all these but then I finally hit me. I said, Gary, you know what we're saying? The best fishermen aren't here yet, but John, they're standing behind you right now. So, and that's what I've watched with these young anglers. They're so, and everybody thinks they're just forward-facing guys. No, most of them can do it all. And so that's, and the other thing I'd say to the younger anglers is don't let the game and competition run your love for why you do it. And it will try. It will try. And sometimes it's going broke like I did. And sometimes it's just the honors and awards, you put too much emphasis on those. And if you want to make a living fishing, your goal should just be able to put food on the table and a roof over your head. And also you'll be loving what you love to do most. And if I hadn't, and I did that, and I'm a little bit more than roof over my head, but that was the most important thing. I never allowed the sport to ruin my love for what I was doing. And there's you got guys right now that'll probably try to get in your head. So that's part of the game, though.
Rick, we appreciate you coming on.
My pleasure.
We can't wait till October. Y'all missed it. Rick's coming here in October. You can go to his website and we'll post all that stuff. So
Okay.
we'll post on our stuff.
Good.
You can go there and book a legacy trip out of the Lake Lodge of Grand Lake with Rick Clunn in October. So
Looking forward to it.
with him. Just go fishing.
Yep. Be cooler then.
It'll be cooler.
Yeah, guys, I know you guys are better than I was. Wear your gloves, wear your big hats, wear your buffs, whatever to keep. Can you look at me and see I didn't do that? So, but it's good.
Thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. Thanks to Melissa for wrangling you and getting you on here for us. We appreciate her as well.
Well,
we'll see you in
yeah, she's the one that does it all.
Thank you, Rick.
All right.
Thank
See
you,
you
Rick.
guys.
Thank you.
Okay. I've been quiet for an hour.
I'm
And
gonna,
the first
I'm gonna
thing
take,
I have to say to you boys standing behind John, don't get a big head with Rick Clunn opening for you. Oh my.
That was pretty good.
That was great.
That's
We talked very little fishing. Very little fishing. Just kind of life. You guys really should go rewatch this because it was pretty good.
when he is one of the few people that I have enough respect for that I don't dare open my mouth while he's talking.
Nobody did. I mean, did you
when
you
his
see the
mouth
comments?
opens?
Did you see the comments? Like
No, I know. I know.
nobody
Yeah, it was
asked
quiet.
a question.
Nobody
Nobody
wanted to miss a thing. Nobody wanted to miss a thing.
Yeah.
I had 25 different things I wanted to that, you know, we're more cerebral, more philosophical that I
Roll.
wanted honestly to ask. And no, I haven't earned that right yet. He's earned the right to say whatever he wants to say for as long as he wants to say it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to listen.
I tried to pick out questions that kind of led him down that path. And I think we did all right.
That was great. Well, now they're quiet.
Let's move on to the high school portion.
You're on mute, Kiki.
hey, if they're waiting for a piece of advice, I'll give them all one real quick while I got them in the group.
Gosh, yeah,
Uh-oh.
I'm not sure you can listen to
So years ago when I was younger, we didn't have high school fishing in it. You know, I got in a lot more trouble.
30.
But I'm fixing to turn 37 on
37.
Saturday. I've been out of high school since 2006. And I was, you know, I had a whole bunch of tournaments and I kept saying, yeah, I got to go here and fish Grand and I got to go here and fish Big Hill and this and that. A guy stopped me and he goes, you need to quit saying that. So you get to go fishing. Because one of these days you're going to get to go to work and you're not going to enjoy it as much. So make sure you guys stay positive. Hey, you get to go fishing. So regardless if you got to flip 8-foot deep bushes tomorrow and hope for a bite every hour, you get to go. So that's my piece of advice.
Good advice. Good advice. Danny,
Yeah.
are we on the advice train?
We're on advice.
Yeah.
How do you follow what Mr. Clunn just said? It doesn't. He has a way of simplifying complex things. It's no more complicated than that. I mean, don't let the game run your love of the game. It doesn't get any more simple than that. It's you know, human beings have a tendency to make very simple things complex, and especially if lawyers get involved.
Yeah.
But man, just get up and go fishing. It's not a complicated thing. if
Let me
if-
ask the boys. Let me ask the boys a question, because we talk about this all the time on the show. The negativity. Do y'all feel the negativity, or are you just fishing? Like maybe we're the only ones that are feeling it, and they're just
Could be.
enjoying it. So do y'all feel the negativity that's all over fishing right now?
Just gotta ignore it.
You just ignore it. How do you do that?
Go flip bushes on Grand.
Just go fishing.
Go fishing, tune everything out.
Yeah.
But the results did work.
Very good. Let's do some introductions here. Yeah, we'll start with you. Are you in the picture? Yeah, you're in the picture.
Kyle from Kansas.
All-American Kyle.
That's a great name.
All-American Kyle.
All-American Kyle.
Cooper Moon from Georgia. I'm heading to Montevallo in the fall.
Where you going?
Nice job.
going to
Erskine. Kyle's going to Erskine.
Caden Moore from Georgia. Still undecided on college yet, where I'm going. I'm Parker Eubanks from South Oklahoma, and I'm on full ride for Murray State.
Nice.
So, mm-hmm.
I'm Carson Holbert. I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee. I'm going to Montevallo, the 5-time national champs with Cooper here, and I'm very excited. This is actually me and him's last tournament together, so it'll be a good change of pace to go to Montevallo. We're super excited. We got a good group of guys going in with us, so it'll be a blast.
Outstanding.
That's awesome.
My name's Elijah Morris, and I'm also from Cartersville, Georgia, and I'm not going to fishing college next year.
What are you going to do?
I want to teach.
What are you going to teach?
High school. I'm a coach too. So.
Coach what?
Basketball. There we go.
Nice.
Yeah.
And where are you going to school?
It's called Tacoma Falls, a small Christian school in North Georgia.
Very good.
Awesome.
Nicholas Herman from Kansas. I'm going to Erskine College as well.
All-American Nicholas.
Where's
You got anybody else?
Yeah, me and him are actually all state too. So
All-State?
yeah, all state of Tennessee. Yeah, I
Is
was
an All-Stater back here?
I was all state.
Was
my
everybody
sophomore year.
here and up to last year?
Yeah, I just graduated.
Everybody's leaving us. Except Gabe.
I got one more.
You got one more.
where's Erskine College at, fellas?
South Carolina.
Okay.
Oh, wait. Yeah. So,
Right near Clarks Hill Lake.
Yeah, it is.
Cool.
Nice.
Long way.
So how's the, I know you're probably not going to share any info because you're all listening to each other, but how's the practice been?
Up and down. Still, water's dropping every day, a foot or so. The conditions are changing. The current is changing. The wind's changing. There's fish shallow, deep. I mean, all in between. There's going to be people do all. I've heard all kinds of things. I've heard people catch them good, catch them not catching them, and then kind of in between. So
You have to change every single day. I mean, it's ever evolving every single day.
Out of the half a dozen of you guys, how many tournament days have you guys spent on Grand total?
Zero.
3.
That may not be a bad thing.
That could be a good thing. Could be a very good
Probably
thing.
good. That's probably a good thing right now.
Yeah, that's probably a good thing right now.
Yeah, it's so high too. And especially with practices, they were letting out a whole bunch of water. You had 15,000 coming in, and then it was going out. Just as quick, if not faster. And then today they slowed it down a lot. So
Yeah.
whatever you found in practice isn't, it might not be as effective as what you do in the tournament. So as long as you're adjusting, and with it being potentially 4 days, you really have to be focused in on what you're doing. It won't be a super calm tournament. I think you're really gonna have to lock in on what you're gonna do and how you're gonna catch them.
So two guys in a boat. You guys fish as a team, I'm assuming, and then multiple day event.
Is it a 3 fish or a 5
Three
fish?
fish.
3 fish.
There's 3, 4, possibly 4 days of tournament if you qualify for the 4th day.
Is it a 14-inch limit or did they do?
12.
Oh my gosh! Why are they doing? You know that's a pet peeve of mine.
Well, you can still figure on a or not
We
even.
spent an hour on that last show about why the elite series anglers have a 12-inch limit on 10 cut. Of course, they're all gonna have a limit.
12
They're
inch
elite.
be relevant. A 12-inch fish won't even be relevant, but
No,
I
especially
mean,
with a 3 fish limit.
12 pounds a day, 12 pounds a day, 3 fish.
What do you think?
I think it's going to take 13,
Yeah.
14.
Yeah, I'd say upwards of 13.
They're saying 13 or 14.
Yeah.
a day.
Hmm.
We're catching 4 to 6 pounders every day.
I
Say
think
that
that's
one more time and say it a little bit louder.
huh? A lot of people are catching 4 to 6 pounders. He said.
Wow. All
But
right. then.
Hmm.
Sunday the wind was ripping, and then ever since then, every other day it's just been kind of that light breeze. Yeah.
Current slowed down too since Sunday.
They're pulling again.
Are they?
20,000 cubic feet. It's going to probably be steady while I'm assuming.
Only 6 coming in though, right now. It says. So they are pulling it. What's your boat number?
382.
382.
Wow.
There you go. Got a good draw.
We got 289.
289.
Boat 382, and it's going to take 15 a day with a 3 fish limit.
Maybe not 15 a day, but I think somebody's going to have probably 15, 16 one of the days. Probably Thursday.
Yeah. I would agree with that. That's 3 over 5. That's still a tough battle, boys.
Oh, yeah. I think this lake can handle the pressure, though.
It
Well,
can.
it can't now. It can't, especially now with it being high.
Now if it's like Hartwell or something, that's a whole different story.
Look at Chip last 20-pound bass, 3 fish.
Boat 382. Wow.
You don't even have to worry about waking up early for that boat draw.
What are you taking off at 9 o'clock?
Have to be on the water by 5:30.
They got to be on the water by 5:30. Everybody.
Yeah, on the water.
And there's what, 2 ramps available? 3?
Yeah.
It'll take a little while to get them in.
Well, you're going to have to go get in line right now then.
Time's long.
6.
6.
I just want to make sure they didn't change that.
Where are they going out of?
Wolf Creek.
Wolf Creek.
How?
The whole entire parking lot is basically flooded. It's got
Oh,
like
okay.
probably 3 foot of water in it.
We're launching out of the parking lot.
You can see the 3 ramps by the dock.
Oh, okay.
Sunday you were putting in water.
Sunday the water was over the road.
That's what I heard.
Wednesday when we fished, it was in the parking lot. We did a drive up way in at the bathrooms on Wednesday, and then the guys just drove out into the parking lot and released their fish.
You could have done an idle by drive through way in.
I thought about it.
Put the poles down and weigh in right at the ramp.
Yep, I thought about it.
What do you guys think of the lodge there?
Oh yeah, super nice.
Very nice.
Overhang is perfect. I mean, shaded. That's the big thing for over here this time of year. Shaded areas. So brake
Absolutely.
tackle, all that. The lights, easy plug-ins right by our boats. The rooms are super nice, as well as the bathrooms. That's also a big thing for most places we stay.
Bathrooms are good.
Has,
Man.
has John been grilling burgers for you every night?
No, but I've been delivering an extra roll of toilet paper to every room. These boys eat a lot, and a lot comes out. And towels. They use a lot of towels.
We haven't seen Bigfoot yet. John promised Bigfoot.
We haven't seen Bigfoot.
No Bigfoot? Really?
He's a little more north this time of year.
He's
Let's
flooded
ask
out
him-
right now.
Let's ask him your question, Danny. We'll get their take on your question. Your blog question.
Which question? Oh, one of the weird ones?
Yeah, one of your.
I like how I am the weirdo specialist now. I mean, it's like, well, we were talking earlier, Dan, before you came in, and Rick's kind of opened the idea, Bigfoot. Well, obviously, I'm the weirdo guy.
I would say, according to Rick, you're just philosophical.
I would say you and Rick are one and the same.
I mean, just because he's right there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, guys, just go around. Whoever wants to jump in. Craziest thing you've seen on screen while you're fishing. Craziest thing you've seen on the scope or on the sonar or whatever.
Yeah, on the scope. We're not talking about watching YouTube or anything like that.
Craziest thing underwater, I should say.
The other day we were scoping around and we saw a camper underwater. That was pretty different. I've never seen that before.
Here?
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Kind of submerged as well.
Was it in a campground that was just underwater, or was it like deep in the deep water?
It was pretty deep.
Okay.
Sounds-
Camper, suburban.
Seen a
Anybody
bunch
else?
of boats, a bunch of cars.
Boats and cars. Anybody seen a UFO?
Oh.
You know, Brandon's seen a UFO.
Yeah.
We talked a long time on that subject on our podcast.
We got half a season out of that.
Yeah, we did. That was good.
You need to make sure and you need to make sure and get a line on one of them old boys over there. If they do end up winning, make sure we get them reserved.
Oh yeah.
Well,
If
let's
you
just do
would.
it right now.
Okay.
Everybody standing right there, hold up your right hand. Come on. I promise if me and my partner win this derby, we will come back on to Idle Zone.
First, before any other show.
Before, especially Mercer.
No Mercer. Go on Mercer first. Everybody has made that promise and everybody's broken it. Except for Tucker Smith.
Tucker
No,
Smith.
Pat went on Mercer. Pat.
Oh, that's right. Pat did.
Yeah, Pat did too.
Flat out told me he wasn't coming on first. He was going on Mercer.
At least he was honest.
Tucker came on ours first, though.
He sure did.
Yeah, he did.
He even brought his girlfriend.
Yeah.
Kind of,
He
sort
made
of.
her drive.
Yeah.
Made her drive so he could talk.
Ask him the other question.
Which one? There's so many weird questions.
Well, we got 2 questions that you asked.
Okay, guys. Especially you guys that came from Georgia and yonder. You're driving down the interstate. You see the billboard, you're like, oh man, dude, we got to pull over. We got to go there. Where are you going? Someplace to eat?
Bass Pro Pyramid.
Bass Pro Pyramid. Good man.
Haven't
Don't
heard
leave
that
your,
before.
yeah, don't leave your boat unattended at the pyramid.
Oh, we're gonna leave mine. We're gonna leave the truck. We're not on boat.
Yeah, it's
Not only that, the roads near Memphis are terrible.
Yeah,
Terrible.
yeah, they are. Anybody else?
I know where. Me and him stopped at the Bass Pro
Springfield.
headquarters. That was awesome.
Mhm.
Biggest, ginormous Bass Pro.
Yeah.
They got like dang 10
Springfield Bass.
10 aquariums in there. Well, I got
Good one.
200 tons.
I'm disappointed in the answer. I'm sorry.
They're thinking more like
Tackle. They're not thinking,
tackle.
Well, if I see the lake lodge sign,
I like a lot of sign.
I mean,
Good.
I'm disappointed because I can picture myself traveling from who knows where, heading to Grand Lake of the Cherokees on a fishing trip with my dad and being like, well, mom's not in the truck, so you're taking me to either a Hooters, a Twin Peaks, something. We're going to get us a good lunch and look at the scenery. I mean, come on now.
Some of their moms are just right off screen.
Way to go, Kiki.
I wondered if
Nice
there was
job,
an
Kyle.
audience. I wondered if there was an audience. That's
Yeah,
why.
we have a
That's why they
put
didn't
the
answer.
G-rated answer.
live studio audience here.
All right.
well,
He-
the moms and dads or whoever, they should jump in the screen too. They're the reason the kids are there.
shaking their head.
The kids are there.
I mean,
They
the
like
kids would be there
Marvel.
without
He
their
didn't want to
parents.
be on. Well,
Okay,
Dan-
here, let's go at this a different way.
Okay.
What's the best place you've eaten at around Grove or Grand while you've been there this week?
McDonald's.
Oh my.
next-
The woodshed. The gas
Oh,
station
yeah.
woodshed is really good.
That's probably good.
That's
Yeah.
true. The woodshed is good.
Matt's is really
But-
good.
Oh,
Matt's is good.
I haven't ate there, but I know this is good in the Midwest. It's Brahms.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we had good.
Oh yeah, they don't have Brahms out there.
Ice
bro.
cream. Not only the
Yeah,
ice
we
cream,
got
the
Brahms.
food is good.
I know, but they don't where they live.
Yeah, that's true.
We had a pretty bad experience at the Brahms there in Grove, didn't we, Danny?
Yes, we did. Never again.
I don't know. Depends on what you're looking for. Mexican. We've just got a couple Mexican.
He's just going to hold that until I say something.
The best. We like the one downtown, La Casitas. We think it's the best Mexican.
You probably use a lot of toilet paper.
So the Drunken Rooster is now open at Honey Creek.
Oh, yes, that's true.
So that's pretty good, I think. Yeah.
Do yourselves a favor and get a smoked bologna sandwich at Tomcat.
Mm-hmm.
American.
Know what Tomcat is.
Okay.
So we're gonna test that out tomorrow
Tom-
and see if something.
Tomcat has been around for 50 years, and they have smoked sandwiches made to order, and most of the fishermen that come from out of town will stop and get like a smoke. They do the smoked bologna. I do the cake. I'm a little more refined than they are.
Oh, wow.
They do the smoked bologna, and they get it to go out of town.
So if you guys all turn to your left and look at that driveway, you go out that driveway tomorrow
Directions.
and you turn left and you drive approximately 2 minutes and you stop at Tomcat Corner and you get a smoked bologna sandwich.
Not even 2 minutes.
Not even 2.
Oh,
30 seconds.
And get a large, or the guy behind the counter will chew on you, because if you get a small, it's only 75 cents more for another couple of slices of bologna, and it's well worth your money.
The sandwiches are good.
Good and good for you.
The large sandwiches, there's about that much meat on it. So yeah, gotta have a Tomcat corner sometime before you leave.
Oh, definitely. Is
These guys.
so honest to goodness question here, and I'm circling back through the comments. I haven't looked yet. I'll look and see if there is a link to post. Do you guys know if they're streaming live weigh-in starting tomorrow? Tomorrow? Okay. Okay. So if for anybody that's watching, what I'll do is I'll find that link and I'll post it on the. I'll post it everywhere. I'll post it on KBN too. I don't care. It doesn't matter. We promote everybody, not just our BASS guys.
Yeah, I mean, we've always said that it doesn't matter. Even when I was at Bass, I didn't care. As long as you were fishing bass, I don't care what you fish.
Well, yeah.
I mean, just fish. Just fish. There should be I mean, how many boats did they end up with?
I think it's a little over 400. 390.
390?
Bass
You're
and
389? Who's 389?
382.
Somebody's 389.
I think we're
382, and there's 390?
I think so.
And then they'll flip it the
I mean,
next
number
day.
8.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
The past 2 years, Bass and MLF has both had 480 plus boats,
Yeah.
and we and Cooper fish.
that's a lot of boats.
Yeah, mostly on Hartwell too.
Yeah.
They got the
Do y'all think that's too many?
Oh yeah, 'cause everybody's
mean-
doing the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, from the anglers, from the angler perspective, do y'all think that's too many?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you hear that, that's too many boats.
I think
Blah, blah, blah.
they should cap it at like 250.
Especially after 3 days of practice, you got 400 boats being on the lake whole week.
Mhm.
It's a full week, 400 boats.
And then like in the Bass Opens, we have to fish before or after the college anglers, after they've been out there all week too. And most of the Bass Open high school tournaments and MLF Opens.
Wouldn't it be cool if there was a Bass College event here next year?
Uh-oh.
That'd be cool.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
Hey, so these fine gentlemen said that they were from Tennessee and Georgia and all that. So can you go around the table there and ask each one of them what their home lake is and what their favorite thing to do as far as fishing
What
technique?
their favorite lake is? Milford? Milford, is that you? Well, all right. So what was the question? Favorite lake?
Well, no.
Home lake?
Home lake. Everybody's got a home lake, or what they call a home lake, and then what they like to throw, what they like to catch fish on, and I don't want to hear glide bait, and glide bait.
Well,
What's
they're all
wrong with
gonna
the
say it.
glider?
Glida.
They're all going to say glide bait, Kyle.
I'm just giving them a hard time.
You know what?
Yeah,
You start catching them on that thing, Kiki,
Well, we
and you're
know
gonna say
that-
glide bait too.
just go around the bend there and let's hear it.
Home lake.
Home lake is Perry Lake, and favorite bait, because I can't say glide bait, is a jig.
Second favorite bait is a jig. Glida and a jig.
Glida.
Lake Lanier and glide bait's a big deal there too. And probably just a minnow. I mean, you can't go wrong. Or topwater in the summertime.
Okay.
Home Lake's Lake Altoona or Lanier, both herring lakes, but I'd say a jig. I never throw glide baits. They're too big for me. I get scared.
I like it.
My home lake is Lake Texoma, and I mean, if I'm there in the winter, then you'll catch me throwing a jerk bait over piles, and then in the summer, you can catch me with an 8XD in my hand.
Nice.
My home lake is Fort Loudon Lake, where the Classic will be here pretty the next year. I don't fish out there a whole ton because I'm always on the road fishing these Georgia Bass Nation tournaments. But when I can fish out there, I like picking them on the minnow and then ranking and just trash fishing. I mean, I fish Watts Bar and Chick and Douglas and Cherokee a lot too. So.
Well, my home lake's Lake Alton or Lake Lanier. They're pretty close, but I love throwing a shaky jack. Throw it all day.
Home Lake's Lake Perry, and I like throwing a topwater spook and a Ned rig. But a glide bait bite is pretty fun too.
Yeah.
What brand of glide bait would that be?
Clutch one bait show.
Clutch is
Yeah, Clutch.
Old Josh.
old shiny expensive ones.
Yeah.
Gl-
Good question. Good question.
Any of them boys ever thrown a DT 1000 like what's back here somewhere?
I don't know if they can see that. Here, let me.
Zoom in on that thing.
Essentially, it's a
Oh, DT 1000.
Yep, the DT 1000.
Super duper duper extra.
You might need it this week.
Yeah,
you need a 10 rod, and
you
it
might-
needs to be like 1,000 power.
yeah.
So for folks that don't pay a lot of attention to tournaments and the youth tournaments, what's up for grabs this week? Is it scholarship money? Is it prizes? What's up for grabs?
Good
Yeah.
question.
It's all scholarships and prizes in this one. Yeah. So there's, I think he said over 4 million and scholarships up for grabs, and then a lot of great prizes.
Very cool.
That's awesome.
To certain schools.
Yeah. A lot of prizes. So how's the weigh-in gonna work? I saw it all set up.
It's gonna be trailered just briefly. So we're gonna have to have our fish ready and jump out, get on in line, and then they go park your boat and weigh in. So it's like a fast trailer weigh-in.
Just getting you out of the water and then
Yeah.
getting you in line, basically. Okay. Yeah, that'll be all right.
Tents for us to sit under.
It'll be long. It'll be a long way in.
132 bags. It says they hold 132 people.
Interesting. It'll be good. It'll be good.
Is anybody willing to reveal what bait they're going to use on their first cast in the morning?
Glide bait.
I was about to say that.
I'll pitch a big spoon straight into the bush and see what happens.
You're not.
A good friend of mine is watching right now, and he would tell me powder blue jig with a hot pink trailer.
Bubble gum.
Okay.
Deep diving popper.
A deep diving popper, cool. I've got 2 of them.
You got one of them yellow belly dilly hoppers?
Not yet.
I think that was at the place they weren't supposed to go to.
So do you?
Maybe so.
Is everybody making a long run?
Not like
Making a long
Hartwell.
run?
Not sure yet.
Don't know.
Not like Hartwell, running 40 minutes everywhere.
Look, here's my philosophy on this. Talking about fishing. If you're confident enough in what you're doing, you should be able to tell us all here how you're going to catch them tomorrow. You don't have to tell us where, the exact point, like I'm not one of these that's gonna. If you ask me how I'm going fishing tomorrow, like if I was going fishing tomorrow, I'll tell you exactly what I'd do. I'd Carolina rig some points, and if I didn't catch them on that, I'd scoot up and I'd be flipping me some bushes all day long. But I'm a bush flipper.
You said the word wrong.
Tripping.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Tripping.
So let's ask that question again. You're in trouble. It doesn't matter if you're not confident, right? Go ahead. What's your first catch? You don't have to tell us exactly. The brand and all that. Go ahead.
Probably a jig.
Jig. He's gonna cast a jig first time.
You're gonna get the same answer.
Jig.
Still, no.
Glida.
Not sharing it.
Oh. Not that confident. Okay.
We'll see tomorrow.
Oh.
Anybody else confident enough?
Me and them are gonna go up on the bluffs and drop pink and purple Saturday.
There you go. People think that's not a thing, but it is a thing since Lee Livesey started that.
What did he say? Bluffs and what?
He's
Pink and
gonna throw a
purple
pink
chatterbait.
and purple chatterbait.
Oh, okay. Well, if the shatter's spawning up there, you'll probably wreck them.
Mhm.
He thinks I'm here.
Anybody else?
I caught one fish a day, so I'm gonna be netting his fish off.
I don't think he'd get that glide out of his hand. He'd catch more than one, maybe.
Oh, my.
Okay.
I have one bite on it.
We'll change the subject a little bit till post weigh in. So when somebody asks you what you got in the live well, and let's just say you got 15 pounds.
I got 30.
Do you say 15? Do you
Well,
say 10? Do you say
Not
17?
Yeah.
What do you say?
Not enough.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying not enough.
I just said we got 5.
You have 5 tomorrow.
We got
you
3, a little
Brian.
bit side.
Got fish for nothing big.
You guys.
We got
You guys.
John, remember the master laid it down for us earlier.
The master wouldn't say that. The
The
master would say what we got.
The master would also keep all of his fish and weigh them all in.
Yeah.
Yeah, the masters, the greatest anglers aren't here yet.
True. You got a question, Kyle, for these guys? You know what really surprises me about these guys? They're probably all itching to go to bed. Like they were talking about going to bed early last night.
Well,
I
it's
can't
almost
sleep.
dark.
Can you sleep before a tournament? Are you going to sleep tonight?
Oh yeah, probably.
He don't
Bedtime's
snore than
like
me.
9:30. I'll sleep anytime. I'll sleep on it.
You know, if you're confident, you can always go to bed.
Yeah. Turn that light right there.
I have plenty of time to launch.
If I was as dark as your environment, I'd be going and getting sleepy too, John.
We're going to turn the light on. Let y'all see this.
Oh, that's way better.
Oh,
Now they're all awake.
How about that?
That fellow on the left, he does look a little sleepy. I'll be honest with you.
My left or your left? This guy?
Your left, he looks a little tired. I'm not gonna lie.
Probably not catching any fish.
So the answer that they were all looking for when they were asking, like, where you stop, was Buc-ee's.
That's what I was thinking. I just didn't know.
So, have you all seen the Bigfoot Buc-ee's thing? Like the, oh my,
all the Bigfoot AI
Have you
videos
seen it?
Oh, the AI videos? Yeah. I got
on
those.
TikTok.
Huh?
We stopped at Bucky's on the way up there.
Yeah. That's
Bucky's is good for you and bad for your parents' credit cards.
yeah.
I mean, when I go to Bucky's, I spend my money like it's my dad's money, but it's my money. That's kind of a problem.
It's a big problem.
The first time is the worst time.
Uh, 25 people on screen, and we had our first awkward silence.
Yeah. Do we have any questions from the audience that are?
I think they're scared.
Well, it's because of the guys we're asking questions to are so tight-lipped. It's
They
just
are.
incredible.
They
Not
don't want to
giving
give
up
up the
anything.
juice, man. Not going to give up the juice.
We already introduced him, Terry. He must have missed that part. That's a good question. Jerry asked, how many hundreds of hours have you watched of Grand Lake tournaments or fishing on Grand Lake? YouTube.
That's a good question.
Hmm?
I wasn't.
You don't watch?
I didn't watch none of my dad over there. He watched about 200 hours. This place is
So you guys don't do the YouTube research thing? Or
I
you
do a little bit.
I used to do it a lot, but
Do a
nowadays
lot
I
more
just do
maps.
map study on Google Earth, Lake Master, Avionics, CMAP. Just kind of getting a feel for the lake, kind of looking at the generation schedule, especially on Tennessee River Lake. That's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
YouTube videos, it definitely helps. It kind of seeing the water color, what kind of stuff that everybody's looking at, offshore, onshore, whatever.
Do you do a lot of driving around? Just idling around when you go to a new place? Or
Depends on where I'm fishing.
like if you first time here, did you just drive around a lot or what'd you do? How'd you break the lake down?
Areas. Pick an area, pick it apart, go to a different area, pick it apart, get a feel for the lake, and then kind of do an overview.
Did you fish a lot when you were?
We did a mix.
Especially when we're on the Tennessee River. Sometimes I just go out on the lake, but I don't even fish. I just scan the whole entire day.
Mm-hmm.
But
Depends where you're at.
10, 20 hours on the river.
Last week we were at Clark's Hill. I spent over 50 hours scanning. I barely fished in practice.
And how'd you do?
We got top 20 in the state championship.
Okay.
Not as good as we wanted, but it was still, a good finish. Can't complain.
Yeah, me and him have actually had a pretty good year. We finished fourth in AOI and Georgia Bass Nation. Won the tournament at West Point.
Or at Lanier.
Yeah, won a tournament at Lanier. We've traveled all over the country this year, from Florida to South Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee.
Here.
I fish a lot of the adult Bass Opens for kayak too. So I fished a tournament at 10 Killer not too long ago.
Yeah.
Had top 25 finish in it. I'm actually in contention to qualify for the classic this coming year, the kayak classic.
Nice.
I don't know where I am yet, but
That is cool.
Kansas, you don't have a whole lot to scan.
So they don't have a lot to scan in Kansas.
Not always around us, we don't.
Do you consider what is Western Kansas?
Oh, dear God.
Probably Wilson and beyond. Probably.
Danny's okay with that.
Oh,
Kyle,
that's fair. That's Western half.
Kyle and I think anything past Fredonia is Western Kansas,
I don't
which
even
is
know what that
basically
is.
straight north of here.
I've never even heard of that.
Well,
Basically
what they're
straight
saying
north of here.
is anything west of Topeka is Western Kansas.
West of Topeka is Western Kansas.
Milford, so Milford, Kansas City.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. That's almost west.
And if I go to Kansas City, I'm in the Great White North. So
Eh?
if I head to if I'm in Wichita, I'm in Western Kansas.
Oh my.
Yeah.
That's a little extreme.
And the only time I've ever actually been through Western Kansas was when I was headed to the Rocky Mountains. So
Okay.
You sound well traveled, Kiki.
yeah.
Well, we've
Good luck.
done the advice thing. We've tried to get the information that they were going to cast out on the first cast. And that didn't work.
Not happening.
Not happening.
When one of us wins, it comes back first thing.
Oh yeah, we
We're going
got
to share
swear
when we
in.
win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're all sworn in.
It was a good show.
That was a good show.
Who we got next week?
Possibly a winner of this tournament.
Yeah, we got the
That
slot.
is correct.
We got the slot open for next week.
For the winning team.
For the winning team.
And Kister's birthday recap.
Oh my.
Oh boy.
I'm gonna have to make a video for that.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to make a video of that.
Oh, do we have any videos we want to show for the last segment? I mean, we're not quite to 2 hours yet.
Maybe we do that next week's episode if we don't have anything else going on. Do a few of those.
That could be too.
We could do that. Or are you just saying you're not ready for that?
Yeah, I'm not prepared.
Not prepared. We'll do that next week.
Haven't even edited any of them.
What? Wait a minute. What? Wait.
Who said anything about editing?
Oh, I thought I was supposed to put like a AI Sasquatch in Danny's videos.
Oh well, that's.
You
That's-
definitely,
I don't have any problem with that.
Okay.
you definitely were.
All right.
Hey, seriously, guys. Now, there's two on the screen that I'm really pulling for, but I am wishing each of you a great event. I hope you all do well. I hope you all stay safe. Don't break anything in that high water. Good luck, everybody.
Yeah, you guys go catch them.
We break stuff. Kyle, parting well wishes.
Hey, love, peace, and chicken grease, fellas. Herman's, I hope you get that glide bite you guys have just sought after all week. Just that big old 6-pound slaunch on that sucker. But then after that, put it down, pick up a flipping stick, and get to work. And if you think 6 inches of water is too shallow on Grand Lake, you're wrong. So
You can't get to 6
You can't get
inches.
to 6 inches. About 30 yards from the edge of the
Dude,
trees.
That's 3 blocks down the bank.
I mean, you can, but you're in Bermuda grass.
and if you guys want to throw the brand new Berkeley tumbleweed on the spinning rod with 6-pound test and stare at it all day, good luck.
Power to
Good luck. Did somebody say brush hog and D-bomb?
destroyer.
We just did.
I just did. Good luck, guys.
Nobody's mentioned the T word.
I'm not. I'm not a tube thrower, but I mean you are, but I'm not. But 1 month out of the year, yes, I guess. But
You're missing out. You're so missing out. Anyway,
I haven't thrown 2 in 3 years.
Out of the mouths of babes, they say.
I got a check for $500 on a tube 2 weeks ago. So big bass tournament. So anyway, guys, good luck. Good luck tomorrow. I'll see you out there in the morning.
Are you
gotta
singing?
get up early. What?
Are you singing?
I am.
Really? Cool.
Nice.
Yeah. And Friday and Saturday too, apparently. Like nobody else can sing the anthem in this town, apparently. I want to do it. But I did tell them if they found anybody else that wanted to, I'd give up one of my days.
Using auto-tune.
Auto-tune.
You don't know the
I think he
secrets of the
does,
pros,
actually.
John?
Huh?
Auto-tune's the secret of the pros.
That's the secret of the not old school pros. Maybe you young whippersnapper bands.
I think he karaoke's in the truck on his way to the lake or something. He's got a warm up of some sort because there ain't nobody that can sing that good at 6 a.m. Nobody.
I don't know what to tell you.
That was a compliment. You're welcome.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Just a God-given talent.
I appreciate it. Guys, good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
We'll see one of y'all next week. Or 2 of y'all next week.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Folks, thanks for watching. I'll post some links and you can watch the weigh-in, and maybe we'll see if we can find a link of John singing the anthem. Until next week, peace and chicken grease, yo.